Well, it's 1 o'clock. We'll get started. I'd just like to say you can link via chat to the closed captioning, and the presentation is being recorded. I'd like to welcome everyone to the first presentation of the St. Louis Community College Library Speaker Series. Our guest today is Robert Cruz, and he'll be speaking about eSports. And Robert Cruz is dedicated to investing in the growth and success of others through both traditional sports and eSports. From 2017 to 2019, Robert competed on the University of Minnesota's Overwatch Team 4, using this experience to mentor and guide others in the competitive gaming world. In addition to eSports, Robert has coached traditional sports at recreational and competitive levels, always prioritizing athlete development and personal growth. Robert was instrumental in creating and managing Hillsborough County's eSports program, focusing on building a supportive and inclusive environment for aspiring gamers. As the eSports coordinator for St. Louis Community College, Robert continues to invest in student athletes, helping them reach their full potential both in and out of the game. And welcome, Robert. We're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you. I really appreciate that introduction. I'll say every time I hear anything about me, it hits my brain a little bit differently, and it's an odd feeling, but it's a great feeling nonetheless. And I'm excited to be here, and thank you guys for allowing me to speak to y'all today about eSports, our program, a little bit about myself and how I got here to this place. I mean, I know many people are probably wondering all the same, how do I do this? How do I get here? So we'll see the kind of things we can unravel here today. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'll start by sharing my slides here, and we'll get going. And at any point here in the presentation, if you want to ask some questions, I've got it currently pulled up here on the left-hand side. Oh, the chat went away, but that's okay. I'll come back and periodically move back and forth through everything. So again, my name is Robert Cruz. I'm the eSports coordinator here at St. Louis Community College. We started back in January when we were still kind of getting a lot of things organized and what we're going to do. I'd say by this point here, we are fully fleshed out, ready for our season to start here this upcoming Thursday. We've got three different teams that are really excited. So I won't go too much detail there because we will be going over our program here shortly. But we're going to talk about the different kind of pathways and occupations that eSports has to offer. We'll analogize them back and forth with traditional sports as well. I think this is another addition to the traditional sports business field and the different types of occupations they already have. We just get a little segue, so you can move back and forth between the two, as well as what we're doing here at STLCC to be able to have that kind of workforce solution element to it, right? Whether our student athletes want to take a lot of the things they learned here to the next level and implement them elsewhere, or just having those basic skills that are transferable to any occupation they choose to go throughout and whatnot. So who am I? Well, again, like I said, my name is Robert Cruz. I have many different backgrounds in traditional sports as well as in eSports. Like Ms. Joanne was saying, is that I competed on the University of Minnesota's Overwatch Team 4, which you can see over there in the middle picture on the left-hand side. That definitely was some of the greatest people I've ever been able to meet in my first true team experience since my youth. And being able to and kind of help them as somebody who was an older individual at that time. I was getting my master's degree at Minnesota. I was in strength conditioning with the hockey team and Cal Dietz, who I believe to be undeniably the best strength coach here in America, and what he's been able to do on his time there. Everyone you see in those pictures there from Minnesota are in some position of authority in strength conditioning, some of them in the 49ers, some of them at the San Antonio Spurs. And then for those from Minnesota, my esports team, they've been able to do great things by being leaders in their occupations, whether it be engineering or just traditional IT, 3M as well, there in Minneapolis, where they're based out of. So the things that we were able to do as a team and be able to foster that friendship and be able to help each other out and build us better, transferred over to their careers and their career aspects. Because at the end of the day, that human element is something that we lost over the past few years, but it's something that we can still gain back. And I think our sports, traditional sports and gaming, is where we actually implement that, because it's such a vital skill to have. just that personnel and personal. Now, like I said, I coached weightlifting and football at Oviedo High School back in the day. It was my first stint being able to really get into the coaching. I was personal training at the time as well, so my days were full. I was at University of Central Florida, learning about sport and exercise science, finding what I actually wanted to do truly with my life. And I bring all this into kind of get an idea of that. It doesn't matter what you're going to go do right now or you think you're going to do. Life can take you in mysterious ways. I first thought I was going to become a mechanic, automotive. Took 4 years of it in high school. And then now I'm here doing esports at St. Louis Community College. Previously, I was doing esports in Hillsborough County with the youth, ages 5 to 12. And it's truly a remarkable thing to be able to see our youth get so ecstatic about competing each other in video games. They do it on the daily at home. Why can't we get them to do it in a neutral setting where they can gain those the communication skills back that we're losing for so often? You know, a lot of these developers of these consoles and whatnot, they want to separate us and have everyone own a console and play from home. Well, that was my mission there, was to bring them back like we did back in the days of the N64, the PlayStation 2, right? Before we had online experiences in play. Those two pictures off the right-hand side, those are some kids that they got to be competing on my teams and whatnot, and they got to really be the ones who enjoyed it the most, as we see by there. But that has really been my mission, is to kind of come through to St. Louis Community College and showcase a lot of the things that I've been able to do to our student athletes and anyone who's interested, and get those experiences for our community. Because at the end of the day, the word community comes before the college. So we want to be as involved as possible in building those experiences. We'll talk a little bit about how we can do that when we get to the occupational stage, because there's a few different moments that a lot of us are going to find moving forward, that people want people who actually are just gamers, not necessarily the knowledge set of just the business aspect of whatnot. They need gamers right now more than anything. And those other skills, although very helpful, just being a gamer sometimes is good enough. And you can learn the other stuff as we move forward. So let's talk about esports. I guess at the end of the day, we started questioning ourselves, like, I've seen it so many different ways. It's spelled so many different ways. Like, what is esports? Well, I'll tell you what, that very first spelling there on this page, that's how you're supposed to spell esports nowadays. And we've gone through the same kind of transition on how we're looking at esports as with email, right? We start with the lower E and a hyphen, then we went to E, lowercase e, capital M, and then finally we ended up where we are now, where it's just large E and then mail, right? And so now we're moving forward from that. I think a lot of us here in the States have gotten very hung up on the idea of the word sport being there in that. And a lot of people want to question whether or not that's good or bad, or how it looks. But I think at the end of the day, we just have to look at it in a way of how are we helping people? Right? How are we giving them opportunities, right? Regardless of what you think, if it's a sport or not, it's helping other people. It's giving them opportunity to express themselves in ways that they may have not otherwise gotten. And so that's the real benefit there. The East have been doing this for 20, 30 years, as well as I'll show you here is in the top left-hand corner. That is what we call a PC Bong. And this is an area in South Korea that during the Asian financial crisis of the early 90s, started to pop up randomly and really became the centralized hub of their gaming experiences in person. And because at that time, a lot of individuals didn't have the financial means to be able to go out and buy the Sony PlayStation and different Nintendo products that Japan was releasing at the time, that everybody wanted one. Everyone wanted to get excited to start Mario, start playing these different game titles that were coming at the time. But they couldn't afford it. So what the government in South Korea did was they invested in their people and these experiences, and they still exist here today. PC Bongs is how a lot of South Koreans get their start in esports, right? Being able to have that centralized play, we have that social element, as well as being able to hone your craft and learn from others around you that may be better than you, right? Teaching and coaching the youth. You know, we think about it in traditional sports, that's just something that happens. Right, we have volunteer opportunities all over with I-9 and youth recreational sports, and even moving into more like AAU and stuff like that, where those that may have the skills necessary to teach the youth how to better their craft. It happened the same way in esports in South Korea. So I think as we move forward here in the States, is we've got to start to kind of find those, and we'll talk more about the occupations because it's going to come back around. We'll be able to get those in-person experiences again. So a lot of how esports started came from that South Korean explosion, as well as here in the States, we've been blessed to be able to have the Microsoft Xbox and all the different consoles come to us and whatnot. And so we look at the very beginnings of it kind of in that StarCraft 2 era, where we've got a lot of in-person tournaments and whatnot happening from that. And then eventually, as we transition past Y2K, moving into the Xbox, we get Halo. And this is one of the biggest titles, pretty much of all time, that has come out, and people started to see that they actually have a kind of a skill in this game. We have these in-person basement style tournaments happening across the United States, where people are linking up and they're playing and they're running tournaments and this title. And we start to see a lot of people say, okay, I love competing this game, right? I actually have a skill here. How can I take it to the next level? And that's one of the things where we this kind of the explosion into the scene in the early 2000s. And one of my favorite photos here, as you'll see in the bottom left, is coming back around to StarCraft 2, is that's the San Antonio Spurs playing StarCraft 2 locally on a plane after they had just won the NBA championship. So it's one of those things where it's not, we've moved past the stereotypical gamer. Recently, they came out with a few different studies talking about, I think it's 80% or 90%, don't quote me on that. But a majority of us now are gaming in some way, shape, form, fashion, at least once a year. And we may not know it, right? Pulling Candy Crush up on our phone, right? That, in some respects, it gives that drive and that will to want to compete, right, against others on a leaderboard. So we're gaming in different ways. Now, this transitions us into where we kind of are today and most recently. My favorite photo here on the right-hand side, talking about Christmas 2007, that was me getting my first Xbox. I was so excited, and that's what kind of like shifted me into the gaming scene, before playing with my uncles and sports games, the whole nine. And then, you see a lot of individuals come with Halo 3 and the Xbox 360 at that point in time. As Halo was still being very prominent as a competitive esport, whatnot. And then in the middle here, this is where we are kind of today, where a lot of the youth is being able to see that it's not just for the older gamers, the ones that have been around for a long time and been competing. As a few years ago, we had Booga winning the Fortnite championship and really showed at 16 years old that our youthful gamers have what it takes to be able to not just transcend to the absolute top, but able to showcase their skills and be able to make it an occupation, right? And I think that's where we're at right now, is where a lot of our youth sees that there's opportunity there, not necessarily the exact steps to reach it, but it is one where we here in Missouri and many other states which have esports at the high school level are able to kind of build that pathway, right? And so that's one of my favorite things of living here, is that we have this as something to go by, whatnot. So when we think about occupations, right, transcending, moving out of the history, right, typically all you think is probably gamer and coach and maybe a business owner of an esports team or whatnot. We've kind of now created larger organizational structures from this. And so we no longer you just have to be a good player at the particular title that you play in, but you can also now be a graphic designer. Looking at the top right there, I sat through a presentation at NACE this year, and it was somebody who was just going over graphic design and esports. And it's one of the things where, although that's a simple poster, there was somebody who was hired to develop that poster, somebody who works exclusively on creating the image of that particular team, and being able to showcase in a way that gravitates people to come and want to watch their games, meet their athletes, and possibly even get a jersey. A few years ago, I bought my wife a Shazam jersey when he was on Sentinels, and it is a shock to her, right, too, because it's one that we don't think of those kind of things as like we do with traditional sports, is buying jerseys for esports athletes and stuff like that. So, but moving into the next kind of subset of occupations here, we think about traditional sports and how when you see, let's say, around the NBA, right? Charles Barkley, Shaq, and all them, and doing kind of casting. Esports, that's been one of the big things that a lot of individuals are kind of gravitating towards because it's so exciting. It's so exciting to watch it. Just casting in general, you don't have to be an older athlete who's retired. Now they're looking for people who have the excitement, who are able to get in there and be able to explain what's happening in a very fast point and loud, and and show people, like, kind of educate them on the people who don't know the game, right? But also doing it exciting way that makes you want to come back. And so that's where shoutcasting becomes so exciting. And it's one where they have platforms now out there where if you're interested in getting started, is that you can voice record over other people's clips, right? So you can think of that in the case of, like, if you were watching traditional sports, right? You just go ahead, you watch, okay, he's going to go and he's slam dunk, and it's boom, there it is, right? That same kind of thing in esports now, where we have the opportunity where you can get yourself known and kind of put your excitement, your level of understanding and knowledge of, casting out there for everybody else to see, right? And possibly make it as a side gig out of it too. Get a little bit of extra money here and there, getting your start. Then we move on back over to kind of like graphic design and whatnot, and the marketing aspect of things. Like, how are you getting people to come and gravitate and look at your particular team or you as an individual? I think when we think of esports right now, we thought of the past 3 or 4 years of streaming and the large virtual events, and Twitch really took over a lot of that. And a lot of people were able to showcase their skills in graphic design by developing different Twitch panels, different images, banners, and icons and logos and whatnot for people who are not just who are streaming, but also for the large organizational teams as well. And it's coming back into that if you are somebody who is very artistically driven and you see it as this could be something that you could find yourself into, is, I always am a firm believer in reaching out to organizations with your own kind of works and the kind of different things that are largely showcased on their squads, right? You had this great play and I remixed back over it and made this little poster and whatnot. What do you think, right? And just getting yourself out there, because esports is changing. And it's changing really fast. One of the biggest things that just recently happened this year in the occupational field is strength conditioning. And we had our first book really that is focused on esports for strength conditioning come out through Human Kinetics. And it's one where I haven't got a chance to read it yet, but it's somebody with a strength conditioning background. I'm excited what people were able to find. I know research-wise, there's a lot of things with respect to our wrists and whatnot and physical therapy. And if you're somebody going into the field of health and wellness, you start to kind of envision yourself. Now I'm going to be training esports athletes, right? I'm going to keep them healthy. Why? Because chances are they started probably more of a sedentary style individual, right? And it's one of the things where they just need to be educated on how to get out of that rut. We develop these habits. We just sit down, we game for hours and whatnot. And so now that's part of my aspiration here is changing those behaviors and those routines and educating on how to exercise. And then lastly, as we go ahead on the occupational side of things, being a team manager, being a scout and a recruit, I think is going to be one of the big things that changes. I know that I've been reached out to here since starting this from several different individuals who actually do international recruiting, and they own those kind of business structures. And I think that is going to be a big thing, because a lot of people want to come to the States. They want to be able to get involved in our educational institutions, especially that now that esports has moved from just 100 a few years ago, school-wise, to well over 500 different schools across our multiple governing organizations to be able to compete in. And so they see it as a possibility to get their start as well. So if you know a second language, if you're an immigrant who's has ties back home and esports and a lot of people who are involved in it, there's an opportunity there as well as being a recruiter, and definitely being able to not just see the fruits of your labor, getting people to be able to reach their dreams and being able to play competitively while getting educated on it, receiving scholarships all along the way. So moving from the occupation back into where we are here today, St. Louis Community College eSports. Realistically, we've got 4 major titles that we scholarship in right now. That's going to be Overwatch in top left-hand side there, as well as Valorant, Rocket League, and Super Smash Bros. So when I was kind of formulating this, I started to think about, okay, how can I reach as many individuals as possible? How can I make it so that we have a small, medium, and a large game? And so when I came around this, I came around what are the ones that a lot of people play, and that's going to be Overwatch, Valorant for our big, larger 5v5 titles, team-based play, and then Rocket League on that 3v3, more of a smaller, medium size, but still team-based play. And then how can we find and adapt to the individual? And that's Super Smash Bros. I mean, this is the one title that has stood the test of time. Smash Brothers is probably one of the most exemplary games of having tournaments both all scale, small, medium, and large. We send our Smash Brothers players over to Fusion 304 and Florissant on Thursday to be able to participate in their weeklies, and they're doing great things there with that because they're not just giving the opportunities for the local community, but also showing the recreational esports side of things, right? Where I think is going to be a big future component of that. And coming from the recreational sports side of things, the in-person experiences and all that, I think our rec centers have the biggest opportunity there to expand that community element. And again, it's something I forgot to mention in the occupation slide is that they have the capital. They want to start a lot of esports, maybe lounges, esports competitive arenas, and recreational centers across the United States. I believe it was the 2020 keynote NRPA was about esports, right? They spoke about those kind of things. And so that was all the big rush, right, in the pandemic was how do we get esports started? And all they needed at times was just somebody who was a gamer. When I reached Hillsborough County, they had only ran like 1 or 2 tournaments virtually online in a year's time prior to me getting there. And so I reached out, let them know, well, I played for the University of Minnesota's Overwatch team. Maybe I can help. And then the rest is history there, right? They just wanted somebody who was a gamer. I had other skills and other ways to kind of move it around. But at the end of the day, there's rec centers across the United States right now where I've spoken to many times, and all they need is just somebody who is in the gaming industry who can help them, educate them on what they need to purchase, what they need to do, and how to kind of utilize this money in the most efficient way possible to having this amenity for the community. So coming back around to what we're doing here at STLCC Esports is in addition to these particular titles, I see it as this is an opportunity where we can get them skills beyond just playing the game and teaching the game. We're looking for opportunities right now with a couple of other organizations to be able to teach our youth on how to play the games. I see a lot of different things here in St. Louis where they have youth, let's say, training on how to play various titles. You can think of them in the same institutions that kind of do coding and stuff like that. As well as I think that's part of our community element and giving back to them, being a part of that and driving the message home that we have this opportunity as you grow up later. Right, you can come back here and be that first step. Now, for our student athletes as well, I have an optional, as of right now, for them to come to our Merrimack Gymnasium, weight room, and train. So I train our athletes Monday through Thursday, and I'm teaching them how to exercise both efficiently and effectively to be able to attain any goal that they want. And that's part of what I believe is my value segment is that if you are interested and you've always wanted to do this, you just need that educational component and getting it started. I'm here to help. I think our nutrition, health, and wellness are the most key factors of being a human. And oftentimes we kind of throw them away. Now, I like to use myself as an example here and say that you don't have to sacrifice your health and wellness to be a great gamer too. I pride myself on being able to get to top 500 in Overwatch for many years, while also being in the strength conditioning with Mariucci and training athletes, right? So I got them both. All it is time and how to manage our time and how to get that education component and driving them. So we've got that there. The next thing I'm going to start to have our athletes do here at St. Louis Community College is we're going to transition to running tournaments. I think running tournaments here in-house is to be able to get them that experiential learning components where they're learning what it's like to speak in front of a bunch of people at once and tell them who won, where you're going next, and organizing who's doing what task and when and where. These are things that at this point in their lives, for the most part, they probably haven't had that opportunity yet. And I'm a firm believer in we get better through experiences, right? We can see things, we can read things, but it's not really until we start doing it do we really start to grasp those concepts and whatnot. And lastly here, we do compete through the NJCAA. These 4 titles are not what we're limited by. We have over 16 total different titles that we can compete in. The sky's the limit, so if there's somebody out there who plays a particular title that you find more interesting than any of the ones they offer, I'm all ears. One example of this is Apex has what's called the Octane Collegiate League. This is not something that is offered straight directly to EA and Respawn, but something that the overall collegiate community wanted to create because they were, I'm not gonna say they're unwilling, but they just didn't have the time to be able to do it. And so the community took it up. And so that particular league is not an official community, but it is one that even myself, I'd love to see us draft a team in it. And I heard many people so far kind of express their interest. So it's something that we're kind of driving towards and leaning in to creating those experiences no matter what the game title is. So coming back around and how we're also kind of driving the message home of preparing our student athletes and anyone who is a student here at STLCC and having those opportunities is right now one of the biggest things we're doing is we're looking for individuals who are interested in broadcasting, who are interested in shoutcasting and being a part of our production staff for our Twitch channel. Our season is 2 days away, and then we'll start games here in about 10 days after that. And so it's one where we have our student athletes already interested and ready to go. But if there's a student out there that's interested in doing any of this, by all means, reach out to myself because I want to make sure that we're getting as many individuals involved as possible. And I kind of adopt this same kind of mentality from Minnesota. We have a channel in the Discord there in Minnesota called Yappers Channel. And all they do is they announce to everyone, okay, we need 2 broadcasters for this particular day, and the first 2 up, or even maybe 3, they might expand it, are the ones that they're going to be broadcasting that day. And so I want to, if you're interested in doing that kind of broadcast shoutcasting, I want to create those opportunities for you and anybody else that you may know, because there's not many opportunities in general. Right, unless you're doing, like I said previously, shoutcasting over other people's clips and whatnot, uploading YouTube, and really getting noticed in that respect. So I think this gives everyone the kind of idea that this is something I can do. And then, of course, going back around to the coaching aspect of it, driving that message home that we need to be able to build the next generation of gamers up and help them understand those games a little bit better. As well. So coming back around this, it looks like I've already spoken about all of these here in some way, shape, or form, fashion. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go kind of open it up to everybody with questions and whatnot. But for the most part, here at St. Louis Community College, we're looking to drive both the components of our program and the different titles that we offer, but also the different experiential learning components, because I don't think enough programs out there are driving that home. The broadcasting is one of the biggest ones, but as somebody who comes from a health and wellness background, I think we need more people interested in that component because there's plenty of opportunities. Sitting through Maryville's presentation back at STL Tech Week, Mr. Clerkey had alluded to the fact that they're in there 5 days a week. They're in the gym because your health and wellness is a very key component to this. So gamers aren't just sedentary anymore. We're ones where we're caring about our health more, and vice versa. So Miss Joan, I will answer some questions if you guys have some at this point. Most of my stuff has been I guess alluded to, but I'm excited to get this going.
And if everyone has questions, you can put them in the chat or just raise your hand. I've got a question, Robert. You
Yes,
mentioned Maryville. Who are the other local big players? And is it at the high school level too that students are doing esports?
Yeah, so our big players really here you have is going to be you have a Lindenwood, you have University of Health Sciences and Professions. Mr. Fernando over there, he's a great guy. I got to meet him at the Missouri State Finals, as well as you have UMSL. They have their program as well. And just a little side note about UMSL, some you might find this a little funny. Mr. Bovey, who runs UMSL's program, was at St. Leo College, University, sorry, in Tampa. And we both moved here to St. Louis. I think it was about 6 or 8 months apart from each other, accepting 2 different esports occupations here in the area, both from Tampa. So I just find that funny that esports lives and dies here in St. Louis. We are just doing so much for it. And so you can see it when you're pulling people from other states to run the programs. Now for high schools, there's a lot. There's an entire regional here. I think it's region 4. They just changed regions recently again. So for the high schools and whatnot, I know that not every high school runs every single title that most of the governing organization has to offer. They've kind of left it up to each particular high school what games they want to play. We do have they do offer like different shooters and whatnot as well, but as well as non shooter-esque games, Super Smash Bros., Rocket League, etc. And so those high school experiences are vital, I know we have alone 4 particular student athletes from Lindbergh. Most of them were on the Valorant team, and I haven't got a chance to reach out to that coach, but I do find it rather comical that we were able to manage to get pretty much half of their squad from last year over here. It was I wasn't searching for him, but they just so happened to happen that way.
And we've got some questions in the chat. How does St. Louis Community College provide access to the games? Do we license this access per player?
So the games, each student athlete has their own particular account for the games. Outside of Smash Brothers, which we have a physical cartridge of that we purchased for that account. Now they still will play off of their own account for the NJCAE. Reason being is they wouldn't. I'm not say if you have an account that's local and you try to use it competitively with multiple people, it can be kind of ambiguous who's actually playing. So everyone having their own particular account makes it very clear who's playing and who to invite and whatnot. But for the most part, each player has their own accounts already. Most of the titles that we play are free to play. So it's just as easy as inputting your email, accepting terms and conditions, and there. But we don't have any generic accounts as of right now. I think that's something in the future I might look into, is having generic accounts. So if anyone is interested in stopping by and learning about the program, they can even get up in and be able to play and learn. The title's all the same. So
here's another question. I play Apex Legends. I'm a controller player. To compete, will I have to transfer to mouse and key?
No, actually you won't. So with respect to cross-platform play and whatnot, the NJCAE does not have any restrictions on platform nor on peripheral use. So if you play on the controller and that's your comfort zone, we have a controller player for our Overwatch team right now. And so that's the way that they've been able to compete. They've been able to compete at a very high level, even against PC players. I think the common notion is that PC players versus controller players is this uneven field. But in most recent years with different, let's say, aim assist and other things, we kind of even that out. And now we've been able to utilize whatever we prefer. So no, you wouldn't have to be able to change. So if you want to play on controller, by all means.
Here's another question. Is participation in the program tryout based or more of an intramural model?
So as of right now, it's been tryout based. We held tryouts back in the spring for a majority of our titles. We have a Discord that most individuals end up joining, and then I have a tryout form in there where you'll then you can send me any of your clips that you may have, your current rankings or peak rankings, any particular title that you've been associated with, as well as you sit down with me for a 15-minute discussion, kind of if it's a individual based title like Street Fighter 6, we just have somebody that's signing on right now for that one. We talk about their aspirations, what they kind of want to get out of esports, and where they foresee it going. If you're more team based, I set up a date for you to play with our team right now, if we have one already existing, or if it's something like Rainbow Six Siege, where we've been trying to get a full squad for that one. We put your name down, and we'll come back around to it to see if we actually finally get a squad going. So. The intramural model of things is something that I am anticipating hoping to do here within the first 3 years of the program. It's more about getting that fleshed out because I would love to be more in-person experiences on that. But the lounge we're just opening right now is exclusively to our competitive teams. But that's a great question because we're going to come back around to that eventually.
Here's another question. How do you choose what games we will compete in? What do you do to prepare for a new game? What's the turnover rate for games?
So this being our inaugural season, we haven't had a chance to kind of like delve out like a turnover rate yet. Like we have a bunch that are going to be graduating next year. I just tell you that much for a majority of our squads. But when it came to the games and how we chose them, it was mainly by our initial surveying through those first weeks back in January, February, and March. And Overwatch was overwhelmingly the majority. Valorant came in next, and Super Smash Bros. As well. There was a few offshoots, and when we were looking at what was most interested here locally, but for the most part, the 4 titles that I came up with were the ones that expressed the most interest. That's not to say that when it came time to actually, writing it down on a piece of paper, they followed through. But again, that's why I mentioned that I'm all ears on any particular title, because if you're interested enough to take initiative on being, like, let's say, a lead in-game lead of that particular title, I'm interested enough to be able to try and house a team for it and whatnot. So I know something that I didn't actually allude to in the NJCAA that I'll just circle back real quick is that we have 3 tiers of play. Tier 1 is our competitive teams. These are scholarship titles, those 4 that I mentioned earlier. Tier 2, any of those 16 titles can be Tier 2 within our governing organization, the NJCAA. And then finally, the third one, and everyone here in this chat's going to love this one, Tier 3 is our community-based tier. So this could be any of our staff, myself, or any of our coaches, anybody at all here within St. Louis Community College that's interested in competing. We could create a Tier 3 team. And I would love to create a Rocket League team full of staff that had never played Rocket League before. We can educate. We can get this going. So, but continue.
Here's another question. Is there practice today? And if I have an evaluation appointment, how can I reach out? What would I need?
We have a Valorant today in starting at 3:30. And then if you are interested in being evaluated and whatnot, that's where we head you over to the Discord to be able to fill out that form and schedule that appointment with myself, as well as any clips or anything that you may have associated with that. But yeah, we practice Valorant on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, we have Overwatch. On Tuesdays as well, we do have Super Smash Bros. In today. We've got to unlock a lot of characters before the season starts. So we've got them in double time. And then our games, when do come game times, Tuesdays will be Smash, Wednesdays will be Overwatch, and Thursdays will be Valorant. And those times are 5 o'clock for the Smash and Smash and Overwatch, and then 6 o'clock for Valorant. Valorant gets the primetime spot per se.
Okay, Robert, are students that are esports athletes indicated on any platform that staff could see, like Navigate?
So they just had the websites get revamped today, which I believe some of our student athletes should be up there. It's been a very fickle time because we are adding a bunch here towards the deadline. So all of them may not be listed, but we are adding our esports to the Archer Athletics website to be able to showcase both them, the title they play, and whatnot as well. So like we do with our traditional sports. Ms. Joanne, just to go ahead here, I'm actually going to link that Discord. I see the question there about it. Our Discord for anybody who is interested in being evaluated. When you join the Discord, you'll have to your STLCC email and a number to be able to get our student role. That's how we keep those for the students to be able to engage with each other and play different games and whatnot. But we do have some of our staff that have come in and just kind of see what's going on, see how esports is thriving here as well. All right, I think everyone should be able to see that Discord link there. So if you go ahead and click on that Discord link, you'll be able to join on in there as well.
Here's one. Where can I find esports schedules or information?
So that is there's going to be a section there in the Discord as well as on the Archer Athletics the Archer Athletics website as well. We're going to have the schedule once it's released. The NJCAE registration ends this Thursday, so the schedules and all that are going to be formulated in what they call their fix-it days to make sure that everyone's got signed up and there's no discrepancies and whatnot. And then so we'll have those up as soon as they release them. And I believe the 26th is the day when they will have that at least done by. So been a long waiting game to be able to get the schedules out there, but nonetheless, I know it's got to be hard with over 100 different teams to filter through.
Here's two questions about Apex Legends. How many Apex Legends players do you have? And what tier is the game played at? And what's the deadline for Apex Legends tryouts?
So Apex is going to be a tier 2 title. And then as for deadline and whatnot, I'm going to go ahead and cut off most of anyone who hasn't already reached out to me by Thursday. The registration deadline on Thursday. We can still add into tier 2 and tier 3 after that, but anyone who's interested in trying out and whatnot, they'll need to get it in by this Thursday so that we can kind of go ahead and close out the fall semester on teams and whatnot.
And we have a message. We need an esports employee resource group. And
I am definitely yes, just yes. I think that's the proper answer there. I'm more than welcome to heading that. Like I said, the tier 3. I think it would be a great thing for a lot of our faculty to have some fun. And if I have space in the lounge for a tier 3 team and a faculty team on a particular day that they would be playing, I'm all ready to be able to open up space for y'all to be able to come enjoy that too. So.
Robert, do four-year colleges and universities offer any scholarships for esports?
It depends on the scholarship. There's typically 3 different arrangements that esports has done at the 4-year level. It's either through campus recreation, where you'll have both a competitive aspect as well as the intramural recreational aspect. There's the athletics like we are organized in, where they have an athletic team. This is the harder one. Many state schools are very risk adverse in actually implementing that. I think League of Legends is what most of the 4 years are more ease of implementing because it's been around for so long, and it's fairly fleshed out when it comes to how to recruit that for that particular title and whatnot. And then there's a third type, and I've recently seen this one come up, and this is one I think that more programs are going to start to adopt, and that is through the academics and recruiting side of things for esports. So, or admissions, sorry, not academics, admissions process where the different coordinators will take you through, if you're interested in video games and whatnot, and showing their lounge and their space and the different titles they offer, so that the second you get admitted in, if you are a gamer and you're interested in competing or whatnot, you're already brought up to speed on it, right? So that's that extra marketing there, literally the first step. walking in the door and whatnot. So I think that one you're going to see a lot more uptake through the admissions process for esports, but most of them do it through either campus recreation or athletics. But the majority doing campus recreation because it's a safer bet. You know, you offer something that maybe it may not have physical spaces, but they do have the recreational components virtually for students to engage with.
Robert, will the eSports Lounge at South County be replicated at other campus locations?
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. I know I alluded to it earlier, but we're back. We're back. Sorry. Can you repeat, please?
No. Will the eSports Lounge at South County be replicated at other campus locations district-wide?
I'm not entirely sure if we're going to open up more spaces. I do know that the recreational aspect of it is something that I'm kind of like delving out and see what we can do. I do know there's aspirations to be able to like have something like that because when you think about it, we have such a large and very sparsely located campuses and student body that if we had something for everybody, that'd be one where we're adding that value segment to all of our students, right? And now I know here at South County, this was a great spot to start initially because of not just the space, but also the ability for our student athletes to kind of utilize the space of their own. Like they take their study hall hours here, and we have tutoring here as well for them and whatnot. So it's a space that I tell them, hey, when you come in here, make it your own. Like if you want to be here all day, then go ahead, be here all day. We have plenty of amenities for them to have that the other campuses have as well. So I think South County was at least a good starting point, but we're definitely looking to taking the necessary steps to add the most value for esports in our student body.
What tools does the program provide for gamers? Consoles, PCs, headsets, etc.?
So in the lounge, we have, I get this number right, it's 18 total PCs. So it's 16 for our competitors and 2 coaching stations. Okay. Now we have SteelSeries mice, Arctis 5, and headsets and keyboards, as well as we do have our Nintendo Switches and PlayStation 5s. And for everyone who is interested in our program and want to come see the lounge, September 24th, 2:30, we're having a ribbon cutting. And it's going to be a great time. We'll do tours of the entire facility. In addition to our esports program, we'll have the new nursing stuff that's upstairs, and they'll be showcasing that off as well. So you can come in the lounge, and then we'll have a few stations set up where anyone who's interested can actually kind of test out the PCs and play a little bit, meet some of our student athletes as well when they're not practicing. Because that's one of their practice days, but be able to speak and I'll even have a little bit to showcase by the program then as well. So I invite everybody who is interested in seeing the lounge September 24th at 2:30, ribbon cutting. At 3 o'clock, we'll start our tours and we'll have that as well.
Will you be recruiting at high schools for esports athletes?
Yeah, so as of right now, I'm mainly going to the big tournaments that they've had. I did get invited recently to go speak to a high school here on around probably the 1st or 2nd. And so I will go and kind of do the same kind of conversation of showcasing the different occupations esports has, talking about myself and how I got to where I am here today, as well as if any have that additional information if anyone's interested. We do have specifically with the NSOs here, we were at I think about 15 of them, and a lot of the dual enrollment students learning about it, whatnot, join our Discord, express their interest for the following year. So when they come, so I think that what we've got going with the NSOs, very big on helping not just this program thrive, but all of our athletics thrive as well. So, but for the short answer, yes. I think the state tournaments are the biggest opportunities there, but also we do have regional discords and whatnot that the different high schools have that I'm in to be able to relay whenever we're looking for a particular group of athletes for a game title.
And in the chat right now is the link to the South County Open House. So
hey.
Look, are there any other questions for Robert? Robert, thank you so much for presenting and giving us everything we need to know about esports. And I learned a lot, and thank you. Oh, wait, one more. Will you have announcements and links for competition live streams?
Yeah, so once we get the Twitch channel all solidified, up and rolling and whatnot, we're still working on things with the PCs back in the lounge. That's what we're streaming out of. We're gonna go ahead and have that be relayed through our Discord. I know there's many different bots and whatnot that we can utilize to have it automatically post every time we go live, as well as Archer Athletics will have a link on there to be able to watch the Twitch live streams as well.
Okay, I hope everyone saves the date for the open house so you can go down and really see esports in action. And thank you so much, Robert, for sharing your knowledge of esports and St. Louis Community College program.
I thank you guys for having me. This has been a fun time, and for both yourself and everybody else, I hope to see you the 24th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again. It was really exciting, Robert.